pretty good. Good afternoon. I got one little thing to mention before 6 on the zoning case.
Oh, okay.
That I got a call.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, February the 15th council agenda session. I now call this meeting to order. Could I have a motion on the minutes, please? All right, we have a motion on the minutes to approve with a proper second with no objections. The minutes will stand as recorded. We have a couple of ordinances on final reading under planning. Is there anything, items 5A through G, that needs to be brought to the council's attention at this time? Anything under planning on final reading that needs to be brought to the council's attention? If not, we'll move into ordinances first reading. Madam Clerk, if you would, 6A, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 2, by adding Article 9, Chattanooga Department of Early Learning.
All right, any questions or comments on this particular item? All right. Believe the next planning item is, Councilwoman Coonrod, do you need this read into the minutes? It was a item that was deferred from January. Do we need to, you need to discuss this?
Give me a brief summary.
Okay. I'll tell you what, Madam Clerk, go ahead and read in 6B.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2700 Oak Street from R1 residential zone to O1 office zone, subject to certain conditions.
All right. And I guess we'll just discuss this at 6.
Yes.
Thank you. 6C was under Public Works and Transportation, and we did cover that item in committee last week. We'll move down now to resolutions. Madam Clerk, 7A.
A resolution authorizing the Office of Community Health to apply to serve as host site for a Center for Disease Control funded public health professional field position assigned for 2 years.
All right. Any questions or comments about 7A? All right. Councilman Ledford.
Chairman, I'd like to get a little more background on this if possible.
Okay. Hey, Chief.
Yes. So I'm sorry, what your particular question?
A little more background information on this.
Yes, sorry. I actually, I apologize. I lost which item we're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're on 7A, the resolution.
Yes.
For the community health.
So the CDC actually provides a stationed, essentially a stationed public health professional to cities across America. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Dr. Lambert to provide a little bit more context, but I know this is something that Dr. Lambert and her team have been working on for some time. This is not just for being able to provide additional public health services around the pandemic, but also other public health services as well. And to be able to have the expertise of the CDC here in Chattanooga would be a huge advantage for our community. So I'm going to see if Dr. Lambert can provide a little bit more detail.
Good evening. This is a 2-year program funded by the Centers for Disease Control. It's like a fellowship. Public health professionals, they are most interested right now in individuals who, in communities to serve as host cities for these individuals. They're at least bachelor's prepared in a science, public health, nursing, MPH. They will work in the areas that the community most needs. They are most interested right now in assignments into host cities where there are health disparities. That would be us. where there are disparities in the vaccination rate for COVID-19. They will be filling 217 of these positions around the country this year. There are applicants who apply from all over the country, some international, but they have to be well qualified. They are vetted, they are interviewed, and then are matched to the cities that are accepted as host cities for these 2-year fellowships. And the CDC pays all of their salaries and benefits for for that 2-year period.
So my question, Dr. Lambert, is will they be in place in the mayor's office affecting or helping create policy?
Not in helping create policy necessarily, but in helping to create and stand up some of the health programs that we want to see in the city, in our community centers and elsewhere in the communities where there's the most need.
Will they have any interaction with the Hamilton County Department of Health?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I've spoken with the health department a couple of times, and they're applying for a similar program at CDC. So there will be interaction, just as there is with the Office of Community Health and the county health department. So there does, for it to work, for the public health program to work, there does need to be that interaction between the city's Office of Community Health and the county health department.
I was thinking it might be a connection there.
Yes, there is.
Thank you for that information so we
Sure.
can further understand the
Sure.
role of this individual.
Other questions?
Thank you, Chairman.
I think that's all the life. You good, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Lambert. Moving now to 7B.
A resolution confirming Mayor Kelly's appointment of Anthony Byrd as the city court clerk.
All right, and I did speak with Councilman Byrd earlier, and he does plan on being here this evening. Councilman Ledford?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move this not tonight, this evening to table this item.
Okay, very good. Do so at your own risk. 7C.
A resolution declaring the current city council seat for District 8 previously held by Councilman Anthony Byrd to be open and vacant so that the city council may appoint a successor pursuant to the city charter, and directing the Hamilton County Election Commission to place qualified applicants for the city council seat for District 8 on ballot for August 4, 2022 general election, and if need, for a special runoff election to be held on September 15, 2022.
All right, any questions on 7C? 7D, please.
A resolution approving the acceptance and use of Home Investment Partnership American Rescue Plan Program funds for eligible activities outlined in the Home ARP allocation plan in the amount of $2,966,210.
All right, still seeing no lights. 7E, please.
A resolution authorizing the city finance officer to amend by extending purchase order number 526211 to Harris Computer Systems for a 6-month renewal period from July 1, 2022 through December 31st, 2022 for the purpose of billing and collection of property taxes for an amount not to exceed $85,000.
All right. Any questions or concerns on 7E? All right, 7F and G were also covered in our committee last week by Councilman Hester. Do we have any questions or comments concerning 7F or G at this time? All right. Moving now to purchase items. This afternoon, we have 6 items that we'll need to consider. Any questions or comments concerning any of these 6 purchases? We do have one RFP to a request to consider as well. Any questions concerning either one of these items? All right, very well. Moving to our 2-week agenda, February the 22nd. Council, if you would look over your February the 22nd agenda. Councilman Ledford.
Mr. Chairman, retrieving back to the RFP, do you want to give us a quick rundown? I think I see the chief kind of giving me a,
Sure.
yeah, I'll be glad to give you the.
Hey, I just wanted to come up here and clarify that the RFP format is really designed to make sure that our community hotline services, which traditionally have been provided through 211, are going through a contracting process now as opposed to an agency allocation process. Ultimately, this probably won't mean a tremendous amount of difference noticeable to the average resident at first, but this does give us more oversight and have an opportunity to see things like monthly reports on services provided, demographic information, and we would have more accountability over a service like this. We recognize that having community hotline services where people can call and ask for things like allocation of emergency food for their family, or need to be connected to mental health services or rental assistance, those kinds of things we would like to know about. And so switching over to a contracting RFP-oriented process is designed to really help us increase accountability.
And probably, Joda, helps us create flexibility to changing needs.
That's right. Yes. And it will also allow us to kind of understand what, for the city of Chattanooga, what we are getting for our dollars.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I was going to say, I guess, Chief, it allows us to better define what services that we would like to see provided through a 211 service.
That's absolutely right. And we want to be extremely specific with that. And, so the agency funding process tends to be pretty hands off. Once you all allocate dollars to an agency, we're sort of out of the process at that point. The contracting process through an RFP acknowledges there are many different solutions to a potential problem, but also has us in the mix throughout the process. So if those services aren't happening in a way that we find satisfactory, we have measures to go and rectify the situation or ultimately to make a change.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
You, sir. Anything else on our February the 22nd agenda? Councilman Ledford?
Chairman, just as a note, the planning item 6A, which was the live conditions that had already been through Planning Commission, but working with CDOT on some changes. Still working on that. I may move that or ask for that to be moved to our March 1st Planning and Zoning Committee meetings so that we have a little time to discuss some of the items and solutions while we're working on that. But if I'm not able to get it done, I will be making that motion to move it to the March 1st Planning and Zoning. Thank you.
Which item was that, sir?
6A, it's case number
6A under first
2021-213.
reading? Okay, sure. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Under the mayor's office, the resolution to confirm the appointment of Mandy Lawrence as the Chief Human Resources Officer.
Yes, sir.
I did see the email, and I just want to bring back to previously, I'm not sure how it got mixed up with this specific department to think that, it didn't have to come before council. And I'm going to rehash that one situation where we had the treasurer to apply that had moved from her perspective state, had already began working here, and then the council did not approve her or did not confirm that appointment. Hopefully that doesn't happen to this young lady. She's been here for quite some time, but I would like to have the opportunity for us, the council, to meet the new HR representative. Kind of slid in on our radar. And this to me would be the perfect example to use to say we're giving somebody a leg up, somebody she's already been working here. Nothing personal against her. She's been doing great as far as I've seen so far. Hadn't heard any complaints about her, but I just think in the future that, maybe that we needed to define ahead of time before it got to this point exactly which appointments are supposed to be appointed or confirmed versus having somebody move all the way. She moved all the way from where she was living to come here.
She was already here.
Yeah. And, according to the resume, it said that she was working somewhere and she relocated, and that's why she no longer in that space. But I just, in the future, I would hope that we can get in front of council before then and before it get to this point. And because we don't, want somebody to have to pack up their stuff because council members didn't agree with it at the last minute. I just think that just wasn't fair. It's not fair to council, and it's not fair to the young lady that's, done already started. Certainly,
Councilwoman. So we completely agree on the process of making sure that with appointments that are to be confirmed by council, that you have an opportunity to review those. This is something that happened in the transition whenever we got a list of confirmed appointments that needed to be confirmed by council. We did not, CHRO was not on that list. And after I will be frank, from fairly lengthy discussion about the topic, we ultimately felt this was the safest and most appropriate route to take before you, to make sure that we crossed all our T's and dotted our I's. But certainly in the future, we will make sure that all appointments that need to be confirmed by you obviously come, as we have for every other single appointment. So this is an abnormality in the way that we would traditionally handle this process.
Thank you, Jody. Well, I'm glad to see that it's some women being presented before us, because I was starting to think y'all was a little biased against us now. I'm just messing with you. Thank you.
You good, Councilwoman? All right, thank you. All right, I see no other lights for February the 22nd. We'll move now to future considerations. Any questions or comments on future considerations? Councilwoman Burrs.
This is a future consideration, not on this list. So when we've gone over future considerations, I see the two things that I asked to be on the agenda are not redistricting and
Well, I thought we were we'll talk about that in just a minute.
okay, I
But-
just don't want to get on without
Right.
us doing that.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
I think, supposed to be on,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Anything else that we need to discuss under future considerations? Okay. All right. Now, with that, I think that covers all of our agenda items for this afternoon. Is there any other business that needs to be brought before council at this time? Councilwoman Burrs, you want to hit your light again? I have erased you.
You have erased me again. I think it's a sexist thing, Mr. Chair. So we have two things to bring before you, and I'd like permission to get them scheduled, perhaps on March 1st. One, the Redistricting Committee has its report ready, and we would like to present it to council on March 1st. We want to make it clear that none of this has anything to do with the District 8 matters. These districts will stay, all our districts will stay the way they are. However, we have to have our work done a year before the election. So we've followed proper process, and we're ready to bring it forward to council. Like to do it in strategic planning.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you put that on our strategic planning agenda for March the 1st, please? All right.
The second thing, Mr. Chair, has to do with agency allocations. There have been a number of questions and concerns. I've met with Brent. He has looked at some of the issues that we've talked about, collaboration, impact, those sorts of things. And he will have a presentation ready, if with your permission, again, on March 1st, to deal with different ways we can address agency allocations, whether it's RFP, whether it's clawbacks, a lot of great ideas. And I think that will meet some of the concerns that have come forward from my colleagues about agency appropriations.
Hey, Chief, so I appreciate Councilwoman Burrs bringing this to us, and Madam Clerk, that's, I guess, another agenda item that we need to place on the 1st. My biggest thing, have we been able to work out a way to require or ask that agencies come in partnership with other agencies, or at least partner with departments in the city, in order to figure out the best way, the most effective way to use the funds that we give them? Is that in the plan?
Yes. So
Okay.
we sent an email to all agencies and encourage them, if they're working on a solution that's to the same problem, that they need to present a joint proposal. So we did ask for that. We'll see what we get. They're all due at the end of this week. So that'll give us some time between this week and March 1st to see what we got. And then that will be part of the presentation on March 1st is some ideas about what we could do to encourage or just flat out tell the agencies they need to do something different.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if that needed to be in policy form or,
I think whatever we do, we should incorporate into the budget ordinance since these are agency appropriations and the appropriations.
okay.
Are
Well, that's
part of
even better then.
yeah, because appropriations are specifically listed in the ordinance a certain way as required by state law. I think anything we do should, whether it's clawbacks or policy type things, we should include those in the ordinance.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything else? Well, we've got Mr. Goldberg up here. Council, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brentberg.
That's good. I like that.
Well, Councilwoman Burrs, I've erased you again. Was there anything else that you needed to bring under other business that needs to be brought to the council?
No, sir, those were just the two things.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that has an item that they need to bring before the council at this time?
I wanted to just come up here and make sure that that I introduced our new pick for the Department of Early Learning. Ms.
yeah.
Caritza Jones is here, and we're really excited to have her joining the team pending your confirmation. Caritza is obviously a well-known leader in this community in terms of her advocacy for education and particularly her passion for early learning and early education. And I think that the opportunities ahead of us in terms of early learning are some of the top priorities for Mayor Kelly and this administration. So I'm just very much looking forward to having Caritza on the team, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to say a few words.
Sure. Ms. Jones?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am more than ecstatic about this opportunity, this appointment that Mayor Kelly and his cabinet have blessed me with. As Joda said, I am a uber champion for public education, and especially what that means for babies in utero to be ready, prepared in utero to be ready for kindergarten and to be able to succeed, therefore. I think the opportunity that I am being provided here to serve my community is a tremendous one. I stand on a lot of shoulders. I am actually a third generation city employee. My grandmother and my father both starting in the city of Chattanooga pre-integration. And so to come full circle and to be able to serve my community as I was raised to do is a tremendous pleasure for me. And I'm so excited about what the department will be able to do to change the trajectory, the life trajectory for our children here in Chattanooga, so they'll be able to remain here and be productive parts of our community. Y'all have any questions for me or?
All right. Well, we do have at least one light. Councilwoman Hill.
Thank you, Chair. I applaud the Kelly administration for getting us someone as fantastic as Ms. Jones to lead this new department. I'm glad it's going to be a department. This body values education highly, and we have some really intentional goals that we'd like to see the needle moved on. So I'm excited to work with you on those. Welcome, Caritza, or
Thank you.
in a week and a half on this new job. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Hester.
Krista Mosley Jones. I'm excited to be able to work with you, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jones. We look forward to you being on board. Jody, you reckon there's any more school board members we could recruit to kind of form a partnership between the city and the county? I mean, I kind of see a pattern going here. We stole their CFO. I mean, we're okay. Thank you. Joda, I know that we've got some changes that are administrative changes that are coming, and I think is Mayor Kelly on his
Yes,
way
Mayor
to-
Kelly is walking over here. So if you wouldn't mind a 2-minute recess, or I know he's on his way and maybe walking in any second, but I did want to give Mayor Kelly the opportunity to review a couple of changes with all of you before
Okay.
you leave for agenda today.
I do have one other lot by Councilwoman Coonrod. I apologize, Councilwoman
Yeah.
Coonrod.
Thank you. I mean, it's supposed to be love month. You erasing the women up here. What's going on, Chip? But I had my light on so I could speak with Carissa. I'm most definitely excited that she's appointed to this position. She's my school board member, and the things that we talk about and champion for on council, she's already pushed for those things on the school board and just in the community, and she lived her life pushing the things that we want so our children will be in a better position and begin to thrive. So I couldn't think of anybody else, Joda, who would be more fitting for this position than Carissa Mosley Jones. And then only one thing, and I'm probably the only one who's a stickler on when it comes to this. Thank you, Joda, for not introducing her as the first Black woman to serve in this position, because what that does when you introduce us in that way, it creates markedness to say that we never belong to be in that position. And she's more than qualified to belong in it. So we can, hear the glass shattering now. But thank you for not introducing her to that way, in that way, and making sure that she was introduced with the skill set that she brings and her professionalism. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm proud to be serving under a mayor who has committed from the very beginning to making sure that we pick the most qualified candidate for every single position. And we're grateful and excited about the fact that those pools have been extremely diverse, which reflects the extreme diversity in our community and the extreme diversity of talent that we have. So absolutely, completely agree.
Is that it, Councilwoman? Thank you. All right, Joda, I believe the mayor showed up.
I think he has. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him.
Good to see you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. It's good to be seen and good to see all of y'all. I just wanted, I apologize for running down here from another meeting, but I just want to say a word. I'm not sure what's been said thus far about Chris's appointment and the change in position here, but nothing's been said. So I'm announcing this officially. Well, it is as many of you know, we've had individual conversations about what a huge priority it is for me to finally, I think, after many years of banging our heads against the wall and general frustration and consternation, both on council and from the rank and file citizens of Chattanooga, really comprehensively address code and ordinance and zoning reform in Chattanooga. And there's only one person that I know of that is really the best person for that job, and that's Chris Anderson. So it hit me kind of like a bolt of lightning at some point that this needs to be somebody's full-time job, working with you, working with Madam City Attorney, to both look at best practices, what needs to happen, and then working with the legislative side, with the legal side to start, setting these up and knocking them down article by article. And I think Chris will be fantastic in that role. What is the title again? You guys probably know this. Would you like to come up and say something, Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. And the title that everyone agreed to was Senior Advisor for Legislative Initiatives.
I'm not big on titles, as you well know. So to me, he's going to be the code and ordinance czar, and hopefully working with you guys to get these things identified and knocked out, and will make all of our lives hopefully a lot simpler and make it, frankly, just a lot easier to do business with the city of Chattanooga. Because of that, Tim Moreland, who's well known to all of you and is doing a fantastic job, is going to be elevated to Director of Innovation, Delivery, and Performance. Also, has been instrumental really in helping us turn the corner on a lot of innovative initiatives on the third floor up in the mayor's office and across the city, really. So those are really the two announcements that I'm here to tell you about today, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'm excited about both of them.
Well, I'm anticipating a few questions. Councilman Ledford.
Chairman, thank you. Not so much a question, but just say excellent choice. All three we've seen today. Mayor, thank you for bringing them to us.
No problem.
And these are very qualified individuals, and I'm excited to work with all three of them. Tim's, obviously, we've worked with him in the past. He's outstanding. Thank you for your work. Krista, we're very glad and very excited for what you're going to bring to this city, and that's positive change and impact. And Chris, where do I start, Mayor? Chris and I work very closely together. We sit next to each other on the Planning Commission. We live and breathe, I think, city code and zoning. And I think that you couldn't have picked a better choice for someone who is not only knowledgeable, but actually has vision when it comes to the zoning changes and the complexities that come with that, and also the changes that we need to make. I look forward to working with them. I've been put my entire tenure into planning and zoning, and it is absolutely a wonderful choice. And I look forward to working with Chris.
Well, thank you, Councilman
Yep.
Ledford. I know you are kind of the resident expert on council, so I imagine you'll be continuing to work very closely together. Again, this is not going to be easy work. I'm a big fan of the old saying that, we need to try to make everything as simple as possible, but no simpler. And that's the trick. But again, as Madam City Attorney knows, we have bolted on over the years code onto code that is really unwieldy, very difficult for people to understand. And I know you guys surely have better things to do in council meetings than than wade through volumes of many times conflicting and confusing ordinance. So hopefully by the time we're done, we'll have a lot more flexible and agile code and ordinance.
Anyone else? Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here today, for
Thank you,
bringing that
Chairman.
before us, and I think it will be a great addition.
Well, thank you,
And
sir.
very helpful to this council as well.
I hope so. Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
That
you
is the
bringing that to
idea.
us. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
sir.
Yep.
All right, anything else that needs to come before the council before we adjourn until 6? All right, seeing no lights, we'll adjourn to 6.